me. No wonder nobody responded. Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Steve, would you like us to dive right in, or are you going to give us an introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Stein. I'm the founder of Better Listen. I've been publishing audiobooks for a long time with Beryl and lots of other great folks. And then recently we started WisdomFeed, and we did our meditation challenge, which I know a lot of you joined us with. Beryl was one of our featured meditation guests. And most recently, we have a community we're building called WisdomFeed Plus. It's a membership and a community that has been organically growing, and you'll get an email about that stuff. So check your inboxes for that in the future. And today, we are the day before the solstice, and we're really honored and pleased to have Beryl Bender here. And we're talking about the winter solstice and light and darkness. And sounds like Beryl's been doing some of her great research. So I look forward to seeing what you came up with. Welcome, Beryl.
Thank you, Steve. This is great. Well, I'm trying to close the chat here. I see people. Well, wait, let me open the chat again for a second there. We've got people coming from New Jersey to Florida. We've got the East Coast covered here. Now I can't get it to open up again. There, New Jersey, Canton, Michigan. Hi, Jody. And mid-upstate New York from Charlie. Jonesboro, Tennessee. I know where that. Lori, that's you. And Judy Kaplan, New York, New York. Good job. The city's such a great place to be at Christmas time. And Charlottesville, Virginia, Ridgewood, New Jersey, Dawn.
Ridgewood, New Jersey. That's in my neck of the woods.
That's Dawn. That's where I spent the first 8 years of my life.
Hi, I'm at work. I'm at the hospital right now.
Which hospital?
You're sneaking in a little time here.
Yeah, Valley Hospital.
Valley Hospital, Dawn and I have talked about this, but Valley Hospital was right across the street from the house I lived in the late 40s, before most of you were born. But yeah, I remember when there was no hospital there and just bayberry bushes. So welcome to those of you who are here live for this recording of our podcast, acknowledging and celebrating the winter solstice. And welcome to those of you who will be tuning in later. And what is the winter solstice? I mean, we know that it's the shortest day and the longest night of the year, but what is it astronomically? It's when the Earth's axis tilts away from the sun, which makes it the shortest day and the longest night of the year for those of us living in the Northern Hemisphere. That has always been hard for me to, for me to visualize. I'm a really visual person, and I have to try and close my eyes and imagine how is that working? So here's the sun, right? Here's the Earth on its axis tilting, and the Earth is spinning all the way around every day, one time, making a 24-hour day. And at the same time, it's making its orbit around the sun. And as it tilts away, so the tilted axis of the Earth relative to the elliptical path or orbit of the Earth around the sun determines how much or how little sun we're going to get at any time of the year. So the tilt plus the orbit creates two sets of seasons, the astronomical seasons and the meteorological seasons. The astronomical seasons are based on the position of the Earth relative to the sun. These are the two solstices and the two equinoxes, the winter solstice, the spring equinox, and so forth. The meteorological seasons are marked by the astronomical seasons, and they're based on the annual temperature cycle. So that's winter, spring, summer, and fall. So we can sort of understand that as tomorrow which is technically the winter solstice. The earth is tilted for us in the northern, we live in the top half now relative to where everything else in the universe is of the earth, and we're tipped away from the sun. So we get a much smaller time span of light and a much longer time span of darkness. So we can all understand that, and we can see how cultures all of going back thousands of years have acknowledged this really powerful day. After 4:48 p.m. tomorrow, the days will start to become longer. It's the first day of winter. So I always thought that was kind of interesting, that as we welcome winter and look forward to, excuse me, 3 months of cold and snow, at the same time, we're lifted up by the fact that the days are going to start to get longer. But why do we celebrate this? Societies and cultures across the world have held festivals and ceremonies marking the winter solstice. The sun's rebirth. The sun is waning and waning and waiting and looking like it's going to disappear, and then all of a sudden the sun starts waxing and getting brighter. The solstice was also called the Yule, as Laura, you probably know, in traditional pagan societies, and it was recognized as a time for celebrating not only light and dark and death and rebirth, but you can think of it as a time when we're closing out. It was a time of introspection. It was a time for going in and sitting and entering the darkness, entering and acknowledging the impermanence, not only of the light, but of the darkness as well. So as this shortest day of the year approaches, you might not be feeling a lot of love toward the cold and dark of the winter solstice. A lot of us feel a little lethargic, and we're exhausted, and we're not sleeping well. And if any of this is affecting any of you, well, you're probably not alone, so there are a lot of things we do to bring in the light on this darkest day. And you can see how many of the rituals of the ancient cultures have come to be a part of this holiday season, part of Hanukkah, part of lighting the candles, a part of Christmas, where we light candles and we have bright flowers and we sell, everybody puts up lights. I think it's just, I was driving around last night, coming back from Pittsfield back to the town I live in Massachusetts, Tyringham, and looking, and I took a shortcut on a back road that I don't usually travel on, and there were all kinds of festive lights that people had put up, and I'd already started thinking about the winter solstice, and it was like, of course we would put up lights to try and bring some brightness and bring some light into our life. For those of you who are, and I'll talk a little bit about this later, but it's really important to make sure you're getting plenty of vitamin D. It's a good time to up your vitamin D supplementation. So it's not just us, it's not just modern times. Apparently, this acknowledgement of the winter solstice, this dark night and limited day, has been going on for a long time. And I remember reading somewhere in the last couple of days that it was often regarded as the most intense and challenging night of the year. And you think about people that live off the land, or the farmers who are, worried about having enough food to get through the winter, having your shelter be sustainable, having enough fuel to provide heat to get you through the winter time. So the festivals and the rituals, I think, are ways that we have, over the centuries, coped with the darkness and have reminded us that everything, and this, as a practicing Buddhist and yogi, I can appreciate anything that helps me begin to understand the idea of impermanence and how everything changes, that the darkness is always followed by the light, and the light is always followed by the darkness. That
And
Go ahead,
if
Steve.
I could put in my 2 cents, and I think there's kind of a faith that I think they used to have festivals that because they thought it was the end of the world, because the days were getting shorter, and then all of a sudden the days started to get longer, and that's why it was a kind of a big celebration. And I know in our family we are a lot of the time Sabbath observers. So Shabbat comes at Friday night, sundown comes early and early, and if you're having people over or whatever, there's that much less time before you have dinner, and you kind of compress things into the day. But then days start getting longer, and I think also I've heard it. I don't that there is some folklore or that Jesus was born on the solstice, but the church moved it off a few days because they thought it was too pagan, and they didn't want everyone celebrating, the solstice. And so that's my 2 cents worth on the solstice.
Church, the church wielded absolute power. I love the idea of all the festivals and rituals. It reminds us that to find beauty in all things. As I was out walking today, it was 28 degrees and it's cloudy. There was no sun out today, so it was kind of gray, and it was like a black and white painting. And I kept thinking about finding the beauty in the bitter cold of December, that you go out and it's crisp and everything is so clear and everything's covered here with snow. And I know some of you are coming to us from Florida, so you might not be having such a easy time relating to this, but there's a certain enchantment in winter. And certainly even in the warmer climates there, you can notice the changing of the seasons. And it's certainly a time for community. Families get together. I'm going tonight to a concert down at our local church here in Monterey, Massachusetts, and a couple of people have called to ask if I'm, coming to be part of the community tonight. And I think that's another way that we sort of gather and create warmth for ourselves by interacting with our friends and family. And I'm looking out, as I was coming home last night, I was looking at the wreaths that were on people's doors. And that's another one of the rituals where we bring things from nature into the house. We bring in the pine cones and the acorns and the pine boughs and give back to nature in many ways. It's certainly one thing you can do tomorrow. If you haven't created a wreath for yourself, it doesn't have to be for Christmas or Hanukkah. It can be to celebrate the winter solstice. I put up bird feeders and I've had them hanging empty all summer, and I was frightened to fill them up until I was really sure that all the bears had gone to bed. And so I filled them about 4 or 5 days ago, and there were no birds, and there were no birds and no birds. Took handfuls of seeds and threw them out all over the ground, and I'm waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden I saw something go flying by the window. I went, oh my God, it's a bird. And I looked out, and the birds found the bird feeder, and I've had birds, just hundreds of birds, just converging on the bird feeder here today, the day before the solstice. So happy to be giving back to nature, giving back to the animals. So we're sort of tapping into this eternal cycle of life and death and light and dark. And I think it's powerful because, it reverses the ebbing of the sun. The sun is disappearing, as Steve said. They thought it was the end of the world. The sun is disappearing, and then all of a sudden, and it happens slowly. It's hard to see. You can't catch the moment that the sun doesn't actually turn around and start going in the other direction. but it certainly symbolizes death and rebirth of the sun or the sun gods. I know when we were in Mexico in October, we went to it's not Zapotec, it's Mixtec, I think, archaeological site called Monte Alban. There's a huge temple that they constructed to the sun. And apparently there's a point in the sun temple where at the moment of the winter solstice, the sun will hit a certain angle and it will shine through this little crack in the temple. And wasn't that in Raiders of the Lost Ark? Wasn't there something special about when
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones? Yeah, the light hit the sun at the solstice. The sun hit the sacred lock and blew open. So
Charlie has a couple of points he posted, from expansive Sagittarius to more subdued Capricorn, and then Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturnia is a pagan ritual, and Lydia said, doesn't solstice mean that the sun stands still? I
yes,
think the sun looks like it stands still for 3 days. That's interesting.
that is interesting. I remember reading that, and I thought it was interesting that it's very similar. The Latin word is very similar to the Sanskrit, which is stitihi, which means to come to. I know in the Ashtanga Asana tradition that the directive to come to stillness is sama stitihi. The stitihi means still standing. So interesting how the Latin and the Sanskrit, the derivation is very, very similar.
Beryl, how do you spell that in Sanskrit? Could you type it into the chat if you could? No, not sure. Or later. That's all right. But yeah,
I will type it into the chat when we're finished. That's always been hard for me. I think it's STHIT. I have to write it to see it. Yeah, I'll do it short after we're finished with.
yeah. In Latin, it means the solstice means stand still.
Stand
That's the
still.
Latin in the Latin.
So we're all going to go out and watch the sun and see if it really does.
Well, if you have a place where you see where the sun sets or the sun rises, I mean, when the sun rises, if you watch that, you see, I mean, if you actually have a horizon line, those days right around solstice, it looks like it's almost in the same place. And then it gradually, and I'm lucky enough where I live now to be high and to have markers for sunrise. So I've noticed that more than anything else about where I'm living. It's really pretty cool, actually. I've got a mark like, okay, that's where it is today, and that's it. Now it's coming back. Yippee.
Such an exciting time. I just start thinking, God, starting tomorrow, the days start getting longer again because it gets, you notice, Steve, we can see the movement of the sun even in our screen. You notice the way that reflection from the sun behind me setting has disappeared off the screen.
Right, and that glare is mysteriously disappearing.
So we are grateful for the darkness. We are grateful, so many times we run away.
So when you say we're grateful for the darkness, what, the New Yorker in me says BS. The darkness, the darkness is like the darkness stinks, but there's no light without the darkness. So I don't know. That's just.
It seems to me that over the last few months, weeks, days, I have listened to some podcasts, listened to some TED Talks, talked to people that, consulted some of my teachers, and, that the theme certainly is that without the challenging times, we wouldn't be here. Why are we here? Why are we all here together? How did you get to this point in your life? If any of us had skipped over the challenging times in our life, we wouldn't be curious about the winter solstice. We wouldn't have the awareness that we wouldn't be practicing the mindfulness that we're practicing. The Dalai Lama said, those of us who go through some of the most challenging times early in life are better able to stand in the face of adversity as we go through life than those who have had things fairly easily, a little bit easier on them. So think for a moment, I mean, it's a great time to honor the light and the darkness in each of us, when this is a time, and we're going to do this after we finish our meditation, is just write down a couple things, and you can do this tomorrow, that you would like to let go of. And then burn them up, throw them in your fireplace, or set it on fire in your sink with a match, or, don't be mindful, but it's a good idea to actually write them down or speak them out, actually say, my intention. What are you letting go of? What would you like to eliminate in your life? What is not enhancing your magnificence anymore?
And that ties in with, in WisdomFeed Plus, we have different monthly themes. So the December theme is weeding and seeding. So the idea is to you take stock at the end of the year and what's not working, and kind of plant seeds for what you want to have to come. And earlier today, it's just, some days are quiet, some days are not. We had Robert Thurman on a live podcast, and he talked about beginner's mind, which is the January theme. And he was just chock full of wisdom and ideas. And he told this story, just for a second, it's not really relevant, but I think it's just a story that it does tie in, I think, in some way. Is that he said that, and I might get this wrong, but if I paraphrase it, he said that Ram Dass reached out to him before he passed away. And he was conflicted. I'm a Jew, I'm Jewish, and he talked about being a Jew boo, but he said something that Ram Dass, honor where your grandmother came from. So it's not absolute, it's inclusive, it's all inclusive. And he called Ram Dass a Hindu, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, so that's kind of the natural next step of weeding and seeding. So tell us, are we literally going to write something down?
We are, but not right this second. What I'd like to do is sort of move into a meditation here and just take 10 or 15 minutes to sit. And this is a time for settling in. The Yule encourages inner reflection. It seems just a natural outcome of this time of darkness, of turning inward, of lighting candles, of sitting with yourself, doing some introspection. Those of you who would like to join us in this, we'll sit for 10 or 15 minutes.
So I have a quick question. So the Yule, it's the Yule log, but that's a noun, Yule?
The Yule is just another name for the winter solstice that was started by pagan traditions centuries ago. Lori, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the tradition came out of the northern Scandinavian countries, Norway, Finland, Sweden, sort of that area. And Yule is actually out of that language even. And it's an extension of other ceremonies that took place as a way to sort of bring the fire in. And the tradition is you bring in the Yule log and you let it burn, and you keep just enough of it to save it for the next year to light the log. And of course, it's totally different than us with our electricity than it is for especially people in the Scandinavian countries where dark, they had, a couple hours of daylight by this time every year. And so to bring the light inside, what a gift and what a blessing that was. So yeah, it's got a lot of, there's all kinds of traditions. The Chinese celebrate solstice, the Native Americans, the Saturnalia festival. I mean, it's astounding to think, so many celebrations. And I want to add one other thing. You were talking, Steve, about the like a Hindu and Jew and kind of the history. I don't know if you guys have noticed this in your area. I live in the South in Tennessee, and the Christian church is very strong here. But what I have noticed is there are a few churches that are doing what they call a blue Christmas, and it's on solstice eve, the day of solstice, and it's a way for people who maybe might not be feeling some of the merriment that is sort of expected at this time of year. They've had loss or tragedy, and they want to be able to link with other people who are feeling that. And I looked at that and I thought, okay, finally, it's, even making its way after a couple thousand years back into the Christian tradition, the importance of solstice and those nature-based ceremonies. So I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and what Beryl
Thank
was
you for
saying about you need the hard times, to appreciate it. And of course, tonight is the third night of Hanukkah, so that's another tradition of, bringing light into the darkness.
Thank you for bringing that up,
That was
Lori.
great,
Yeah,
Lori.
Steve, that's an important point. We have a Blue Christmas festival. No, I guess it's not a festival, a Blue Christmas happening here at the Congregational Church in Lee, Massachusetts tomorrow night. And a couple of friends of mine just said, you want to go to a Blue Christmas service with us tomorrow night? And I had to look it up and see what is a Blue Christmas. And so that was just, it's funny that you would have brought that up too. Yeah,
Isn't
that's
that an Elvis Presley song? No.
a have a blue Christmas without you. Okay, let's go ahead and come to a comfortable seated position. Just take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, if you like, very gently, just close your eyes. And let your breath just travel down through your body, down into the chair or the cushion or the floor, and down through the floor and down through, entering into the ground and going down through the warm or the cold ground underneath you, and just keep going deeper and deeper into Mother Earth, anchoring down into the molten center of our beloved planet. We can see the expression of that as we maybe see photographs and video of the volcano that has been erupting in Hawaii. You think that molten lava is coming from the center of our earth. Hard to imagine it could be so hot down there when we've got layers and layers of ice and snow here in the Northeast. Take a moment now to cultivate gratitude for this life and this. We're all faced with challenge. We're all faced with loss and difficulty and things that are painful. And yet, as we can all understand, without those moments, without those challenges, we wouldn't be here today. They provide the impetus, they provide the fuel for our evolution, for our growth. And just see if you can have a sense of the setting sun, of the beginning of night, wherever you are, whatever the time is in your time zone. and begin to sense the onset of winter. When things go to sleep, hibernate, die off in preparation for rebirth, which may come at 4:49 tomorrow as the sun begins its rebirth, or may not come until the spring when the trees and the plants and bears begin to come back to life, come back to activity. And let your awareness begin to rest on your breath. And as you breathe in the light. And as you breathe out the darkness. Breathing in the light. Breathing out the darkness. Breathing in infinite possibility and joy and gratitude. Breathing out limitation. Breathing out fear. Breathing out violence. In and out. See if you can begin to just link your breath to the rhythm of our planet, the rhythm of this universe. Everything is impermanent. Breathing in is always followed by breathing out. Breathing out is always followed by breathing in. Sunset follows sunrise. Sunrise follows sunset. Breathe in and out. Go to a place in your body where you feel the movement of your breath. Maybe right at the tip of your nose. And as you breathe in the light, imagine you're just illuminating every cell in your body. You're letting go of all the things that no longer serve you. Old habits, old fears. Paths that you have traveled over and over simply because they're comfortable, but don't really take you anywhere new. Don't take you to greater heights. Don't take you to deeper understanding. So breathe in the courage to travel new paths. Breathe out the fear of disappointment or disillusion. Breathe in the courage to be in relationship with what is. Everything in this moment is exactly as it needs to be. The sun is setting, the darkness is descending, and we can smile, light a fire, light a candle, knowing that this darkness too is impermanent, and it's followed by the rebirth of our sun. Every moment, every breath, we die and are reborn. Every breath is an opportunity to just embrace this moment. This moment is a gift. You didn't have to do anything to get it. Doesn't matter if you're deserving or not deserving. Here it is. What will you do with this moment except to be grateful? Let's just sit quietly for a few moments and breathe in and breathe out. What sounds do you hear? And if you're distracted by a sound, just come back. Let the sounds be. No good sounds, no bad sounds, just sound waves. Whether it's birds or rain or snow falling or wind or traffic or sirens or family members. Just sound waves. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Just be present with the Sangha, with the community. We're all here. We're all breathing together, focused on our breath, entering the darkness together. No need to look to see if anybody's still here. We're here. Sit quietly. Enjoy the silence. If you're distracted by a thought and carried off, just notice, oh, like a cloud floating by in the sky. Just notice your thought. Let it be. Come back to your breath. Just sinking, setting, settling, or almost disappearing into the darkness with the sun. As the light fades, we imagine we become invisible in a wonderful way. We can travel through this world unseen, unheard, unnoticed. Again, not disregarded, just having the luxury to be observant, to view our universe from a quiet, silent, invisible perspective. Like this great, like the seer, like Purusha, like awareness itself. Simply observing the natural world, the beauty of the natural world. Winter, spring, summer, fall, darkness, light. Nothing dies, nothing is reborn. We are eternal. Our cells in our body, the atoms that comprise our bodies, the nitrogen and oxygen and hydrogen and carbon atoms, have been created in stars billions and billions of years ago. They didn't just come into being when we were born, and they don't go out of being when we die. Our atoms have been, our building blocks have been apples and donkeys and stars, and been in the knee of Napoleon, been in one another's bodies. We breathe out cells every atoms and give off atoms every moment and take in new ones. And constant, we are energy fields in dynamic exchange with the world around us. So while we may feel separate, we're connected always. And slowly now begin to, keeping your eyes closed, just begin to have a stretch, maybe twist to your right and to your left. Arch your back, around the back. I always like to rub my hands together when finishing up a meditation, or create a little fire, a little heat, rest my eyes and the palms of my hands, and then slowly take my hands away from my eyes and opening my eyes. Oh, somehow it became dark while we were meditating. So now we are embracing the thought of the solstice tomorrow, and let's think about some of the things we can do with our families on our own. Tomorrow we can light candles. I have a couple candles going behind me. I don't know if you can see them. You can have a little fire in your fireplace. I like to bring in, and again, many of you have already done this. I always have some pine boughs hanging on my front yard. I'm a big fan of acorns. And pine cones. I've been collecting pine cones my whole life. I have baskets and baskets and baskets of pine cones from all over the world, just to bring nature into the house. So here are a couple other things we can do. You might want to write down some of the things you would like, and I said this earlier, write down some of the things you would like to let go of. Maybe you want to quit smoking, maybe you want to develop, let go of impatience, or let go of grumpiness, or let go of a particular physical or illness that you're struggling with. Let go of your animosity toward a friend or a family member, whatever it is that you'd like to be rid of in your life. And write them down, and I remember we used to do this in our Celebrate Impermanence festivals and teacher training for decades and decades. We'd all sit around the circle, write down things that no longer served us, and then we'd have a big fire and throw them all in the fire. And then after letting go of what no longer serves you, set your intentions for the new season. And I've always found that it's very helpful to speak them out loud, either speak them to someone, to your dogs, to your cats, to your family, or just speak them out loud to yourself. And a thing, an idea, a habit, a practice you would like to start. I will, I will practice meditation every day for the, until the spring equinox or the summer solstice. I will eat healthy foods. I will drink a glass of water every morning when I get up before I eat anything. I will spend 12 hours not eating, whatever works for you, whatever will serve your evolution, whatever will contribute to your health, your well-being. Any ideas? What are some of the things? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Tell me something that you'd like to, an idea, a habit, a practice, something you'd like to speak out loud. You can speak it to all of us. Go ahead. We're here. We're listening. And then I want to read a poem by Susan Cooper called The Shortest Day. And then I'm also going to end with a very short poem by Wendell Berry called To Know the Dark. And but let's hear from a couple of our participants here first. We have about 8 minutes left, I think.
Just real quick, I did drop a link into the chat. This recording will be in our Facebook group for the next 48 hours. And then also in our membership for unlimited time. We have a few members on the call today. And just in our main Facebook group, that the link is there, we're doing a gratitude for every letter in the alphabet this month. And there's a few letters left. And the people are, setting intentions. I think today is the letter T. So I'll set the intention for the new year for truthfulness, just to be true with myself and true with the people in my family, my world. Oh, and also thanks for everyone coming to my birthday party, because tomorrow is my birthday on the solstice.
Oh, Steve, that's fabulous. Happy birthday. Good for you. What an auspicious birth. All right, we don't have to stick to tea. Let's hear from anybody. What are you? Let's yeah.
Okay, so this is actually Mary. My daughter, I'm using my daughter's Jody's Zoom, I guess. That's why her face popped up. Anyway, I'm going to use tea for time off. So I have lots of PTO time that I do not use because I work a lot of overtime. So I'm going to turn it around. How's that?
And what kind of time do you have that you don't use?
Personal time off.
Oh,
it's like PTO. Yeah, it's like sick time, or they just call it, it's all under one PTO.
I got it. Okay.
And I usually end up cashing out a lot, and it's just ridiculous. I need to work less and take time off myself.
Perfect. Turn it around. Anybody else? You don't have to stick to tea.
Oh, hi, Beryl.
Lydia. Hi, Lydia.
Beryl. I'm so happy to see you. It's like coming home when I see you. It really is.
Oh my God, I feel the same way.
Yeah. So for me, jumping off what Steve said, telling my truth and telling it in a kind way. Telling my truth, and not from anger, but from love and from kindness, especially to those I'm closest to.
Yeah, no, it's so easy to, that Ram Dass was reminded of that by his teacher. It's not just about telling the truth. It's about truth and love. It's about truth and kindness. Who else? Catherine, Sheila, Donna, Judy, Lori.
Okay, I'll go. Have more patience with myself. Sometimes there are chores or things you have to do, and they take a little time, and that's okay. Just do it right and be patient with yourself. I can have lots of patience for other people. Why not for myself?
That's a great one, Catherine. Coming back to this moment, as I was walking earlier today, it's cold, gray, and I was like appreciating this panorama, this black and white, the beauty of winter. And I noticed, that I was going, okay, how much farther do I have to go? And And I just kept coming back to this step, and as I came back to this step, there was a patch of the sun came out, and there was a little patch of sun on the road. I walk on this dirt road about 100 yards in front of me. And I just became sort of interested in that little patch of sun. And as when I got to that sunspot, I just stopped and turned and put my face into the sun because there hadn't been any sun all day. And I thought, this moment is a gift. Every moment is a gift. Come back to this moment. We're always sort of out there ahead of ourselves. What's next? The impatience to get to what's next. And because it goes by so quickly, and the only way to slow things down is to just fully inhabit every moment. Who else?
No, this is Lori. I'll go. I'm working my way back into a regular workout routine. I have had sequential injuries for the last year and a half, and it's playing with my head, and kind of going like, okay, just, I don't. And I wasn't doing the things that I need to be doing, but that's shifting and changing. I'm working on that right now. I've hired a personal trainer, and I'm working in that. It's got to change. So that's my go forward strategy.
Lex, I bet you've got something in mind.
There we go. I was thinking as someone was speaking, I wrote down letting go of expectation, instead replacing with intention. We expect things like every minute of the day, whether they're big things or just little things. But when you can stop yourself, and it's hard to do, at least for me, and replace it with an intention, what I'm going to make happen or create or whatever, it's very empowering.
Very empowering. And our expectations set us up,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
We expect things to go a certain way. They don't when we're angry, and we avoid, because they don't go that way. We're filled with aversion, and we're attached to them going a certain way.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of energy either chasing after what we think should happen and pushing away what is happening. And what is happening is really all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, replace expectation with intention. I like that. Sheila, you must have some thoughts.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Beryl.
Hi.
Well, you'll smile because you know my home and my world, but really need to let go of the, since the pandemic time and I was working at home, my office and my paperwork have spread out all over the house. It's everywhere. There's piles of papers and books and folders and notes. And I keep thinking it's time for me to clear some space, to let go of the old, make room for what's new, just be feeling less cluttered and more open. And I think that that's good for not just my physical space, but my own heart space too. So that's my project and intentions for the new year, for the solstice.
Many of you know Sheila through her wonderful 27, 26, 28-year-old yoga studio in East Long Meadow, Heart Song Yoga. Sheila and her husband, Tony, have been just shepherding the yoga community for decades, and all through the pandemic, which was not an easy thing to do. Thank you, Sheila. Anybody else? Chrissy? Donna? Chrissy.
Well, when you first spoke, it was just like all those months and years that we watched you at 7 a.m. It was always impatience. It's still impatience. And I want to let go of impatience, and I want to gather patience. And then the next thing, Lori started to speak, and it was my other thing is I've got to start walking the walk instead of talking the talk of shedding this COVID weight and just being miserable about it, and it's time to move forward. So that is my moving forward thought.
So link that to the setting sun tomorrow and know that that this letting go is disappearing down under the horizon. And when the sun comes up on Thursday, the days are getting longer, the dark is disappearing, and then do some, action is the most wonderful way to deal with angst and anxiety and depression, and you just take action. Go for today. I thought, oh, I don't feel like going for a walk. I was going to take Sheila's class this morning, and I was kind of preparing for this presentation, and I thought, oh, I need to study, and then finally at 12 o'clock, I just said, Beryl, get your ass outside. And I ended up walking 3 miles with my dogs. Having dogs is a great motivation to stay fit and get out. Thanks, Chrissy. That's great. Donna, you have any comments or thoughts? She looks very festive. She's already celebrating this.
Hey, Beryl. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm in my little home yoga studio with my Christmas tree, and I just wrote down, what did I want to get rid of or let go of, that you said, what is getting in the way of my magnificence? I wrote that down, Beryl. I thought that was wonderful. And I have these, hard to articulate, but a fear of maybe success or shining brighter, or, I have some dreams and I tend to hold myself down. I think that's kind of a thought that came to me. So it's time to let that go so I can grow and shine even bigger with my yogi students and everything I have to share. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm very practical. So I let go of my daily meditation practice kind of wane a little bit, so I heard that if you do something for 18 minutes a day, it's all it takes is to get back to, I'll use the word mastering it, but when do we ever master it? But getting back to it. So 18 minutes a day, back to my daily yoga, my daily meditation. My goal is to do that up to the solstice or the summer solstice, and we'll see how that goes. But I think that will help me get grounded and less afraid, if that's the word to use. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Judy, you have anything you want to contribute? I'm just randomly picking people out that are looking alert and awake, and
I would say one thing in terms of intention, and not even specifically a specific intention, but just the idea, I forget who said it earlier, just to not kind of passively hope, but have a specific intention, and there's that cliche, thought is creative, but thought is creative. And mindset, the whole idea of mindset. And you know what? I love the way you linked it to the sunrise on Thursday, where the day, so it's not, you can set an intention and then maybe the wind is at your back because the days are getting longer starting Thursday or something like that. But just the idea of having an open mindset.
The intention has to be linked up with an action. I mean, action, if your intention is to meditate 18 minutes a day between now and the summer solstice, then you need to, the first thing you need to do is get through day one, and maybe set 5 minutes. But Judy, sorry, we interrupted you. Were you going to contribute anything? Oh, she can't figure out how to turn. There you are. No, your volume, you're still muted. I can't unmute you. But...
I can unmute. Who we talk? Jerry?
Judy Kaplan up in the corner there.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to ask.
While you're working on her, let's see if we hear from, one or two more people. Scott, you have anything to contribute?
Sure. So earlier this month, I revisited a shiatsu teacher I had 45 years ago, Ohashi. And we exchanged shiatsu, and then he did a treatment on me. And the theme of his practice is touch for peace. So I'm going to use the T word, use touch, and let that be, what I continue with as we go forward.
Nice.
And thank
Good
you.
to see you,
Lovely.
Scott. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Steve.
And Dawn, anything to add to that? Any ideas about intentions for the new season?
I intend to leave behind sugar so I can bind again 2023.
Okay, our intention is to bind in 2023.
Yes.
All right, letting go of sugar. Good one. Good one. Okay, do we get Judy unmuted? We
Yes,
did.
I'm here. I'm inspired by you all. I could take on all of your leave behinds and adopts, but I guess for me, I'd leave behind self-doubt. And I like the idea of taking hold of, letting go of the things that are getting in the way of your magnificence.
So we haven't heard from everyone, but I want to get onto our poem. Amos, Holly, if any of you, Jerry, any of you want to jump in here and add something. Charlie, I love your background here. If anybody wants to contribute an intention, speak now, or carpe diem, carpe the diem. Okay, we're all happy. Okay, let me read you Susan Cooper's poem, The Shortest Day. I just love this. I Googled poems, it's Winter Solstice poetry, and there's quite a lot of wonderful poetry. And Sheila has always inspired me to find wonderful readings to do at the end of classes and presentations. But The Shortest Day by Susan Cooper. And so the shortest day came, and the year died. And everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing and dancing to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen, and they burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the new year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. And all the long echoes sing the same delight. This shortest day, as promise awakens in the sleeping land, they carol, feast, and give thanks, and dearly love their friends and hope for peace. And now, so do we, here, now, this year and every year. Welcome, Yule.
That was
And
great.
isn't it beautiful? The Shortest Day by Susan Cooper. And then To Know the Dark, this is very short, by Wendell Berry. To go in the dark with a light is to know the light. To know the dark, go dark. Go without sight, and find that the dark too blooms and sings and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. So wonderful to be here with all of you. I wish we could all have dinner together now.
Yeah, totally. Thanks everyone for, taking time and showing up and participating. And Beryl, way to go, nudging everyone. It was wonderful. It was so nice to, for everyone to share. So yeah, I don't have a lot else to say. If there's a link for WisdomFeed, and I put in the chat if you're interested. Everyone I guess already knows where to find Beryl. And if you signed up here, you'll hear from us. A lot of you are on our list already. And yeah, thanks everyone for showing up. Happy solstice, happy new year.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Oh
Happy
my God.
birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank
So
you.
there's some wonderful things in the chat. The ancient Pueblos also had big solstice ceremonies and observed the sun at this axis in their construction also. Oh, in the ancient, the ancient pueblos of the Pueblo Native Americans. Some people take it as an inner cosmic festival beside the other things that are happening. Time of inner birth. You guys read through the chat. There's some great chats in here. Happy holidays. Happy birthday, Steve.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Steve.
But Beryl, can we come over by the fireplace? I'll be there in 10 minutes. Maybe I'll,
Me
it's
too.
so inviting.
Oh, and I just made an enormous pot of minestrone with every vegetable in the world imaginable. And
Yum.
All right, we'll be
There's
right
Take me a
over.
while to drive there, Beryl. I love it.
There's plenty for everyone. I was wondering what I was going to do with all that soup.
All right, this is a pleasure. All right, I think that's it. Anyone else?
you
Anything
all.
else?
Hey, Steve, for doing this.
All
Bye,
right,
everybody.
Thanks,
peace.
everybody.
Thanks for
Bye,
showing up.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
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 Thank
Love
you.
you. Bye.
Wonderful.
Thank you. This is awesome. Thank you.
So
Thanks.
good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.